Mechanical Marie is a pretty ridiculous rom-com, but pretty wholesome. The manga is really short. It's only like 28 and a half chapters, so it's done. I don't think it does anything groundbreaking, but it's wholesome and fun enough that it's perfect to put on if you're not watching anything else, or you just need something to put on. And the fact that it's already finished, I suspect the anime will finish the whole story in season 1, which is always nice. Arthur is the illegitimate heir to the Zetas Corporation, so he's constantly got people attacking him, trying to kill him, use him for their own gain. So he just doesn't trust anybody, doesn't like anybody, and his butler hires an assassin to be his maid, whose name is Marie, and she pretends that she's a robot maid, hence the name Mechanical Marie. And Arthur believes that she's just a super realistic robot. It has enough fun with that dynamic where he treats her just like a person, like he cares about her, and she's constantly lying and making up these ridiculous lies that he believes. It's kind of always tough when you have a character blatantly lie to another one, when you need to resolve it to have them end up together. But the lies are dumb enough and they're not super serious to the point where it makes you think like, oh, she's a piece of crap and they shouldn't end up together. There's action in the show, but it's really just kind of there almost as a plot device because Marie was an assassin, so you get to see kind of how badass she is. It's not super serious action at all. It's one of those shows where there'll be fights, but every character kind of finds some bullshit excuse to get along or stop trying to kill each other or whatever the case may be. So the action is really just kind of there because of her backstory. And it leans into the shenanigans where she makes excuses to not get into a bathtub with him or the pool and says that it'll mess up her wiring, or she can't eat or go to the bathroom when she's around him. When he wants to take her out, he shoves batteries in her mouth. And it does touch on an interesting topic in the midst of the AI robot development era that we're currently in. The idea that he's falling in love with what he thinks is a robot maid is portrayed in a pretty amusing way in the show, but it's also kind of his way of giving up on humanity. It's never played super dark or serious like that, but that is sort of his perspective, is just, I can trust you because you're a robot, but no one else. And this is already kind of a weird thing. You can find stories online about people indulging in these AIs being sympathetic, quote unquote, and people just needing their positivity and support all the time. There's weird apps coming out where you can record one of your loved ones so that after they die, the AI can pretend to be them and interact with their grandchildren and shit. Super fucking weird. There's these Neo robots that people are starting to purchase that can clean your house. And if it can't do a task, you can call into their service center and it'll have someone manually operate the robot remotely to do whatever you're asking it to do, which is super fucking creepy as well. But I'm assuming people will buy into it just like we have with all the social media apps and information that we give out as it is. And I think from a psychological perspective, that what makes the show interesting is how human would a robot have to be before people started being attracted to them physically and emotionally. Everything right now is kind of in the proto stages. Presumably it's only going to get better. But obviously since she's a human, it's a hyper realistic robot as far as he's concerned. And he does develop emotions for her. He is attracted to her. He does want to take her out on dates. Psychologically, his protective instinct does kick in. Like when Marie is being insulted or attacked, he has a desire to protect her, which is obviously something very well documented in psychology. This is why you see pushback for women being in the front lines of a military conflict. And the idea that people could be emotionally and psychologically manipulated to have these instincts kick in because of how realistic an AI is or a robot is kind of terrifying. Obviously in this show, it's played for a joke and as part of the rom-com dynamic because we know that she's a human. But translating that to real life is kind of scary. It seems like you could make anyone do what you wanted if you could remotely control their sex bot. And there is a generally positive message about wanting to be honest with the people you care about. Obviously, the guilt takes a toll on Marie throughout the series, but if he finds out about her, she'll get taken away and killed, and the butler will get killed as punishment, is what he thinks. So she's forced to keep the lie up. So I'm not going to go on too long about this one. It's one that I find amusing. Read the whole manga in a couple hours. It's not very long. If you have an afternoon to kill, I'd recommend it. Not going to change your life or anything. Just kind of a classic wholesome rom-com type deal with an absurd premise, but it has enough fun with it. And it just seemed really topical. The idea of a guy falling in love with what he thinks is his robot because he's just lost faith in humanity to that point that he's given up on real people. I think you could very easily see how this translates to the people who are perpetually online, who live in these fears that are anti men or women, depending on your dating preference. And obviously, people that inhabit these spheres are just fed all the negative, worst aspects about the opposite sex nonstop. In a country with hundreds of millions of people, there's endless examples for all practical purposes. So it's very easy to see a world where we have humanoid robots and the species becomes human celibate until we eventually die off, at least in the first world. But I'm not going to keep going about my fears of AI and Skynet. I wanted to talk about the anime show. Check it out if you have some time. I'll leave it here for this one. If you've seen it or read the manga, let me know what you think. Try to respond to the comments that aren't just insults. Like and subscribe and all that shit. Thanks. See ya.